Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
TRE in the afternoon. Presented by Hannah Murray.
Good afternoon. It's just gone 5:05. You're now listening to Men Talk. With me in the studio today, Russell Hood, Steve Holmes and Grant Joel. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you all for coming. If you're listening at home and you would like to get involved, you are more than welcome. Here's how.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95.
What a beautiful day, it's a wonderful life.
We're going to start with a bit of nostalgia. The headline says, a taste of the past, foods that take us straight back to our childhood. Some of the things they talk about, things like jelly, wobbly jelly specifically, I'm not quite sure why that makes a difference, boiled eggs and soldiers, fish fingers, home-cooked roast dinner, biscuits from a metal tin, quite specific, ice cream, custard, ice pops, jam sandwiches and baked beans. The thing that came to my head was Angel Delight. Do you remember Angel Delight?
I do.
I loved Angel Delight. Butterscotch flavour, that was the best one. I loved Angel Delight. But I haven't had it for probably my whole adult life. I think they still make it though. I've seen it in Iceland. They do it.
I think a lot of the things they've done in the past, or we had in the past, like wagon wheels and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I mean, they're half the size that they used to be.
They get smaller, that's true.
It's really disappointing,
But
you know.
half the size.
When you see a wagon wheel and you buy it, you think, God, where's it gone? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Couple of bites. So what kind of thing do you think of when you think of food from your childhood?
Well, it's funny, when I saw that article, I actually thought I still have a lot of those things now.
Exactly.
You know, like biscuits out of a tin, you know, but that was a breakfast thing for me. We used to have a cup of tea and we used to dunk our biscuits out of the tin. And it was a tin that we just filled up each time with new biscuits.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, a lot of that stuff I still do. I can really relate to it as you know, it was going on. Custard, still love custard, love all that kind of stuff.
And do you does it still kind of remind you of your childhood?
Always,
or
yeah.
Oh, really?
Always,
so it's not just you just like it and you've kept
dunking
going.
my biscuits in the morning with a cup of tea is just, me and my sister used to be opposite the table, and the tin was in the middle, and then we had a cup of tea either end. that was a breakfast through choice. We could have cereal, but that was boring.
Yeah, exactly. Biscuits much more interesting. What about you, Steve? What do you think of?
I don't know. I think a lot of the food from your childhood, when you get older, actually now gives you indigestion.
Yes.
But you know, you still think of going to the chip shop and things like that. You know, and when you do, you're sort of so disappointed afterwards. You think, no, it's not for me anymore. You know?
Yeah.
But it does. I think food and music take you back to where you were at a certain time.
Absolutely.
Good anchors, aren't they? They're good anchors to take you back
definitely.
to things.
I think boiled eggs and soldiers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Still love that now.
So good. Yeah, I haven't had that for ages, but I'm
still do
so
it.
going to.
I still do.
Or
it.
Marmite soldiers, definitely.
Oh, yes.
And the
Any
disappointing
kind of soldiers, basically.
The disappointing is when you chop the top off the egg and it's hard.
Oh, yeah, it's brilliant.
Damn.
You have to start again. You chop it up for a salad and then start again. What do you think of when you think of childhood food?
I think, well, when you mentioned the fish fingers, I think fish fingers and in a sandwich with loads of butter.
Sandwich.
I mean, I know it's absolutely unhealthy, but just now and again, that is an amazing treat.
That's
With
quite,
ketchup?
Yeah, tartar sauce. That's quite posh now, isn't it? You go to a gastro pub and it says it's on the menu.
Last week there was a thing about tomato ketchup or brown sauce. So I'm going to ask you.
Brown sauce all the way.
Really?
Preferably fruity. Remember the fruity?
Oh. Do you know what? I don't think I was going to say ever. I think I've tried brown sauce once when I was a kid. Didn't like it, and I've just never gone back. I need to try it again.
Brown sauce definitely with bacon. Red sauce with everything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm the opposite with that one.
Really?
Bacon. I would say red sauce and pretty much everything else brown sauce.
Oh, how interesting.
Apart from chips. Chips have to be ketchup.
Okay. What about ketchup or mayo?
Mayo.
No. Ketchup.
I'm not a big fan of ketchup. Never been a big fan of ketchup. No.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I got together with my partner, now husband, he had ketchup on absolutely everything. to a weirdly, like everything, and I've slowly coaxed him out of it. So it's fine with egg, like a fried egg or something.
Oh God, yeah, you got to have ketchup.
Gotta have
Definitely.
it with, yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
But no, he'd have it like with lasagna or something, like really weird.
So?
You're thinking that's okay. So he's not that weird then.
Absolutely not.
Oh, that's funny. Do you have it a lot with lots of things?
Yeah,
then?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I'd only have it with eggs, like for a breakfast, or with chips. Other than that, I can't.
Snap, absolute snap.
Burger.
Yes,
It's got to go on a burger. You've got to have ketchup on a burger.
Oh, burger, yeah. I'm not a burger fan particularly, but yeah, I would put it if I had, yeah. Fair enough. You wouldn't have it on a burger?
No, I'd rarely eat tomato sauce, rarely. And if I was going to have brown, I would probably go for mustard on a burger instead of brown sauce.
Oh,
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
definitely.
I love mustard. Okay.
A bit of French mustard, lovely. Or even the whole grain.
Yeah. Oh, nice. We're getting hungry. So what about things like ice creams? Has the flavour of ice cream changed over the years? Are there particular flavours of ice creams that you would have had as a kid that you wouldn't have now as an adult? Like Tutti Frutti or bubble gum or that kind of thing, or were you never into
I think it was mainly all vanilla when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
If we got vanilla, it was a treat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and vanilla now?
Yeah, those ice cream sort of lollies that you used to get, like with the ice cream inside.
Yeah.
And that was great. But,
was that the strawberry mivvy?
That's strawberry mivvy. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right. I couldn't think of the name. Yeah. Strawberry mivvy. Yeah.
So, and you'd still go for the same kind of things now?
Yeah, vanilla.
Yeah,
vanilla. Maybe a chocolate now and again, but vanilla.
Yeah, I like vanilla.
I totally lost my sweet tooth, so
really?
I can't stand any of that stuff now.
Really?
And I loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, ice in your wine. Adding ice to your glass of wine may earn you a frosty reception from drinkers of a certain vintage, but now one of the world's leading chefs has hit out at the cultural snobbery of those regarding the practice as beyond the pale. Michelin star David Chang says whenever he puts ice in his wine, it tastes like gold, but he feels that he's done something horribly wrong. He tells drinkers to remember that wine is just a beverage and not a cultural artifact, and they should be concentrating on drinking something as refreshing as possible. Would you put ice in your wine?
Only since I've been here have I ever put ice in ice in wine. So only since I've been here, and it's just because I like it cold. If it's a white wine, I like it cold.
Yeah.
But I can see why so-called connoisseurs would say it does change the flavour, because if you leave it in there for any amount of time, it does change the flavour.
Exactly. It melts. It waters it down.
So I can see why they would do that, but I also quite like it to be cool. So and I don't usually keep it hanging around too long.
No, true. That's the other key. I have to say, I have ice in my wine pretty much all the time, and pretty much all year round as well. I've kind of got used to it, and I do it all the time.
I think I'm saying it's generally if it's a good quality wine, why would you put ice in it?
Well, no, when it's hot.
But people do it. People have cold red wine.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, I do in the summer.
No,
I had some cold red wine last night.
Cold Ribeiro, I just don't get.
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
But room temperature is hot this time of year, so
It's
it ends
still
up being
nice.
warm.
That's when you get the flavour of the wine as a red wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want warm wine. No.
It's like having a cold brandy. It's not the same. You got to have warm brandy.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And it's like malt whiskey as well. You
Yeah.
know, you should never put ice in there, but I would quite happily put ice into white wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it wasn't cold enough, but I'd rather have it undiluted.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, just store it in the freezer for a while before you open it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're at home, you can do what you like to your own kind of temperature. But going out, if it's not cold enough, I'll happily.
Yeah, I would here.
Yeah. Only this time of year, though, obviously.
Obviously, only this time.
Obviously. There's a piece that's been in the news the last couple of days, which I thought was really rather interesting. The TV star, the bakery, and the party planner in a storm over free cakes. So this is the idea of celebrities kind of wanting or expecting things for free in exchange for promotion on their social media, or maybe in a magazine or on a podcast or whatever. And this happens all the time. Sometimes the celebrities asking for the free stuff. Sometimes businesses are literally throwing free stuff at them to say, will you mention my product or my brand in exchange for a free bikini or a free whatever. So it happens all the time, so it's not unusual. But I think the way that this email was worded on both parts was brilliant. So this is the original email request. Good afternoon. I'm wondering if you would be interested in the following opportunity. We are organising a 40th birthday party for a well-known celebrity on the 1st of September 2023 in Manchester. In return for being a supplier for the event, payment would be made in the form of promotion on their socials with over 700,000 followers, as well as promoted in OK Magazine. They will be crediting all the suppliers on these platforms. The party has a guest list full of celebrities and industry people from TV, film and music, so loads of work would come for it. Neverland would also like to use you for our future events and parties. They are wanting 1/40th cake. The theme of the party is, I can't say it on the radio, I've designed a party in pinks, sparkles and a touch of flamingos. 100 cupcakes and a smaller cake for her husband, as it's actually his birthday that day and we wanted to surprise him. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you. This is the response. Hello, Abigail. Thanks so much for the email. We do have availability for your date. I'm so sorry to hear that your client has fallen on such hard times that they can't afford to pay small businesses for their products. Unfortunately, as my mortgage provider doesn't take payment in the form of promotion on their socials and my staff can't feed their kids with exposure on Instagram, I'll have to decline your very generous offer. Those are my thoughts. All the best, Beck.
That's brilliant. That was brilliant.
Isn't it brilliant?
Yeah.
Just so good. I don't know, how do you feel about this? Do you kind of get the exchange between a business getting something for free in exchange for promotion, or do you think the whole thing's nonsense and people, whoever they are, should pay for the goods?
I think it depends. I mean, you look at everything like the Oscars, and every single designer is wanting to dress the big stars. Mm-hmm. So they're throwing the stuff at them. But I totally think that response was brilliant, because small business, they can't afford to just give away their products.
Yeah.
And I think that's an absolutely classic response back to what is really an outrageous request.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a lot. It's one thing to ask for a cake, but one massive cake, one smaller cake, and then 100 cupcakes. I mean, that would take a massive amount of time and labour in order to put that together, just for getting their name mentioned in OK Magazine.
I think the request was fine. I think it was targeted at the wrong place.
Yeah.
You know, a small bakery is just not going to do that.
No.
You know, somebody, a little bit higher profile bakery might have thought, we'll go for that and we'll promote it ourselves as well.
Yeah.
You know, and put it in all our stores. But as a single bakery, it's just not going to happen.
No, definitely not. And also, I think it depends on the celebrity. I mean, they haven't said who the well-known celebrity is, but it's since come out. It's Catherine Tilsley, who was on Coronation Street a few years ago. So I'm sure she's very lovely, but she's not like it's not like it's Victoria Beckham or something. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure. And it's sad in a way, because I remember before kind of influencers were a thing, I remember thinking, why is it that stars like Victoria Beckham, you know, the likes of people who have got a lot of money, get stuff for free? And then obviously there's people who can't afford to get things that just can't afford to get things because they haven't got the money, but people who have got loads of money get loads of free stuff. When you look at it like that, it's just not fair, is it? But at the same time, you can see why a business would want to give something to Victoria Beckham, because if she says she's got millions of followers, never mind 700,000, if she says, these guys do the best cake, or look at this bikini, people will buy it immediately. Absolutely. So it would work. It would be worth it.
I mean, when you see somebody on the TV, you know, a royal especially, and she's wearing a dress from Zara or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly it's gone. You know, it's all gone through the window.
Definitely. So and they do like replicas as well, don't they?
Yeah.
So like Zara and stuff like that, they'll do replicas of designer things. So you'll see Kate Middleton, for example, wearing a dress that would cost $2,000, and then Zara would do a replica that's 50 quid or something, and loads of people will go out and buy it. It really does work, however sad it sounds. But no, I thought that was a brilliant response to that email, definitely. We better take a break, I forgot about those.
Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Men Talk. With me in the studio today, Russell Hood, Steve Holmes and Grant Joel. There's an article here about dancing. ABBA's Dancing Queen is the favourite dance floor filler. So here are the ones that they mentioned, the top 10. Dancing Queen by ABBA, Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners, I Want to Dance With Somebody by Whitney Houston, Living on a Prayer, Bon Jovi, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen, Happy, Pharrell Williams, Uptown Funk, Bruno Mars, Sex on Fire by Kings of Leon, It's Raining Men, The Weather Girls, and Single Ladies by Beyonce. They're apparently the top 10 songs that get people on the dance floor. Do you all dance?
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah? No?
Occasionally.
It's more dad dancing these days, so I'm not doing it.
Even if you're at a party, had a few bevies?
Oh,
that's different, you see.
Well, yes, okay. If everybody else is doing
there
it,
then. There you go, okay.
Yeah.
And is there a particular song or a particular type of music that will make you go, oh, I love this one, and off you go?
Sorry.
I'm surprised in that list there's no sort of Motown classics in there.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, Come On Eileen's a bit of an old hat
I
now,
thought
isn't
that,
it?
but you don't really dance to it. What can you kind of do to Come On Eileen? There's nothing
But
really...
it would depend on your era, because I mean, Come On Eileen was one, so as soon as you said that name, I just sprung up straight away. No, I didn't dance. I sprung up because when that came out, I think, going back now, I would have been 17, 18.
Yeah.
Goodness me, that is old. But it's one I really associate to, because it associated to a club we used to go to. I was driving. Everyone used to get up to Come On Eileen. You know, all of my friends. It was one of those key records for us. Yeah. So as soon as I would hear that, and again, we talked about it earlier with food and things. You know, it becomes a real anchor, and it takes you straight back to that time.
Yeah,
and it's a real feel-good factor.
Yeah, it is. A lot of songs that you associate with those kind of formative years. When you hear it, you do go, "Oh, I love this," and it takes you back, and you're there on the dance floor.
You hear people say it all the time, don't they, with different songs? Oh, I love this, and off they go. Especially the girls. Off they go, and they're on the dance floor.
Definitely,
and it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah. We should dance more, I reckon. One of the songs, it's funny that Dancing Queen's number one, because it's one of my least favourite songs ever that I do always end up singing and dancing to, just because I worked in a 70s bar in Newcastle when I was 18, and it was a song that was the most frequently played song, like literally 5 or 6 times a night, because you had groups of people coming in, groups of women, whether they were in their 20s or their 70s, they'd all be like, can you play Dancing Queen? So we had it so many times during the night. So for my wedding and any kind of big parties I've had, I've said to the DJ, play some ABBA, just not Dancing Queen. I can't stand it. But more to the point, I always end up singing and dancing to it, like Sweet Caroline.
Yeah.
Can't stand that song, but you'll all sit there going, I mean, literally.
You feel as though you have to, though, don't you?
It's like law.
Yeah, got to enjoy myself tonight.
Yeah, it would be rude to not join in and sing along and move your arms and everything, but I can't stand it.
I love more of the pure disco stuff that really, you know, that just, you
Proper
forget
music.
how much you know until it comes on, and then it's got, oh my God, I remember this one.
Yeah.
It's just
the night fever.
Yeah, exactly. It's great to dance to disco music. It's got a proper groove and a beat to it. Yeah, really good. It's funny that there's a few songs in here which I kind of think are, you know, great songs to sing to, but not necessarily dance to, like Sex on Fire and Living on a Prayer. I mean, how do you dance to either of them? You shout and sing along, but you can't really dance to them.
Not Mr. Brightside, is it? That's for sure.
Exactly.
I've seen a few have a very good go with a few drinks, I have to be honest.
Yes, absolutely. It happens. It does happen. This is an interesting one. This is talking about advice and bad advice. Why just stop worrying really is the worst advice. Good advice can sometimes be hard to find, but terrible advice is available in abundance, research has found. Adults in Britain have been offered on average 8 pieces of poor guidance in their life, with 42% saying the worst is just stop worrying. Yeah, it doesn't really help. What do you say to someone that is a real worrier to try and encourage them to stop worrying?
I think you've got to look at where you are now, what you're doing now. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
Look what you've got now.
Yeah.
You know, just don't nearly said, don't wear it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's hard not to.
Exactly.
It's really hard not to.
Just look where you are.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's easy over here, isn't it? I mean, you're living in the California of
sun's
Europe, and suddenly you're feeling, some days you're not feeling great.
Yeah.
But you just got to think where you are.
Yeah, exactly. Look on the bright side.
Correct. Yeah, it's the bright side.
Yeah, exactly.
It's difficult because we always resort to these cliches. That because it's just laziness more than anything. And if somebody is a real warrior, as you say, look at what you got, but also get them to start talking about what it is that genuinely is worrying them.
Yeah.
And if they start breaking it down, they might suddenly realise actually it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
But again, very often we don't take the time to listen. So it's just, you know, if you can get somebody to open up who's genuinely worried, then you might be actually helping them.
Yeah, absolutely. And give proper, genuine advice. You know, if you're listening to what they are really worried about, once they do start talking about it, they might find that it's, with your kind of right guidance, that it's not as bad as they thought, or, you know, there's things they can do so they worry less, and, you know, together you can come to some kind of better place. Is that good advice, Grant?
Yeah, so my first thought was, it's all about time, as you say, Russell. It's all about the time that you can give it. But I also hear people give lots of bad advice, and typically friends and family sometimes can be really guilty of that, because they give advice according to them and their needs. And actually, what you need to do is listen really well and give advice to people for their needs, not your own. And people give perceptions of what they feel is good advice according to them, according to the world, to them. And actually what you need to do is get real clarity, time allowing, and be able to actually advise them for what they want, not for what you feel is best for them.
Yeah, that's
probably
true, isn't it? Because everybody does or can handle things differently, and what's right for one person isn't necessarily right for someone else. So just because it's what you do, it doesn't mean that that's what they should do. It's really understanding them and where they're coming from, and that's a very good point.
It's you know, it's so true. And you hear people say, you know, well, treat people how you want to be treated, and I always go, no, I don't agree with that. Treat people how they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated. You might like a smack in the mouth on a Friday night.
That's true.
It's really about you got to find out what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and then, you know, hopefully be neutral enough to give good advice for them.
Yeah. I remember being fascinated, like eye-opening, reading the book in the 90s, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and finding it really, really interesting that how, it's obviously a huge generalisation, but how different men and women can be in terms of how they want to be treated if they're upset, for example. So a woman is likely to kind of do to the man what they would expect and want to be done to themselves, but actually they're the opposite. So a man, again generalising here, but a man is likely to be want to left alone and want to kind of go for a walk and clear his head, whereas the woman wants the man to kind of put his arm around and say, what's wrong, let's talk about it, tell me. So the woman will say to the man, come on, tell me, talk about it, what's wrong, are you okay? Trying to force him to kind of share his emotions. And if the woman's upset, a man will think, oh, just leave her, you know, I'll leave her be, she'll be all right. And the woman's like, why are you leaving me? I'm upset, I want to cuddle. It's fascinating, and it's true. It's all about understanding what the other person wants.
Yeah, things that people do. There's loads of interesting books out there, isn't there, for behaviours and what have you. And I did a little bit around transactional analysis and adult parent-child. I don't know whether you're ever familiar with that.
No, say it again.
Adult parent-child transactional analysis. It was by a guy called Eric Byrne. But you know, it's about the behaviours that we show. So typically, adult is where we need to be, which is very neutral. And then you've got two sides of parent, which is critical parent and nurturing parent. And you'll see these behaviours, you know, in children, because we learn these behaviours from a very young age. So we automatically pick them up. It becomes unconscious thinking. And then in the child, you've got adapted child and free child. And again, we pick all these behaviours up. But you'll see adults typically show critical parent people. You'll see adults go nurturing parent. But the whole point is about how you adopt. So it's awareness around what kind of style you're in, or behaviour. They call it ego states. Actually, I don't like the term ego, but they call them ego states, and then it depends on how you are as to the response that you'll get.
Yeah.
So it's really clever when you get into it.
How you adapt to that situation.
Absolutely,
which camp you fall in as to, are you going to be the parent-child, or are you going to be the child-parent, depending on the circumstance at the time.
Well, the adult actually has an awareness of all of them. So if you can stay an adult long enough without being any reactive, you will tend to get a much better response. But it takes a bit of skill at times.
I bet.
You've just got to stop giving advice, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Speak to your mother. We'll take a break.
Hannah Murray. TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Men Talk. With me in the studio today, Russell Hood, Steve Holmes and Grant Joel. If you're listening at home, you are more than welcome to get involved. I've had a message saying, "Hi Hannah, I enjoy all my drinks with some ice," which means I don't end up drinking too much. And we've even got a picture with some nice looking blush wine with 2 cubes of ice in. Very well done.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95.
What a beautiful day. It's a wonderful life.
They're the details if you want to get in touch and join in the programme. So this is an interesting one. Wait till you are 70, life gets better. Britons feel least valued in their late 50s, but their self-worth rises again when they reach 70, a survey shows. 39% in their late 50s say they feel insignificant, more than any other age group. But for those in their 70s, that figure drops to just 15%. 1 in 3 in their late 50s say a feeling of being sidelined at work drains confidence. Slightly more say their declining social life is a factor. What do we think on this?
I'll tell you next year. I get it. I mean, I don't know whether it's the late 50s or certainly early 50s when your kids have got a bit older, but they haven't got their own kids yet, and they suddenly realise you don't know anything at all. And then 20 years later, they would come back to you and they realise that you actually do know what you're talking about. And, they do ask for advice. So I think, when you get older and you get sort of approaching 70 or 70, I think you can be quite useful to people because you've got a lot of experience.
Yeah.
So.
I think we see it a lot out. I say out here, this is where I live, but I mean, I've got lots of friends who are in their late 60s, early 70s, who live absolutely brilliant lives. Whether it's, playing golf regularly or going travelling regularly or, just doing what they want to do and are really happy. It's all down to health, isn't it, at the end of the day? If you've got your health, enjoy your life, do whatever you can. It's, unfortunately, if, health permitting, isn't it? But if you, it doesn't matter what age you are, just,
I think there's something about, going on from midlife crisis. I think you get to in your 50s and maybe, things haven't gone quite so well or whatever. And I just think then, you get a little bit of a reflective time where you kind of feel, well, other people have done really well and here I am, I'm kind of here, which I guess can be a little bit disappointing really. And you kind of look around and think, time's running out, isn't it? You're in your autumn or approaching your autumn years of life. So I think people would get that, in their in their 50s. And then of course by 70 it's changed, that's it, there's no kind of centre back, so you're just looking forward to what time you got left. That's the way I would kind of, when I read that, I just think, well, that's kind
it's
of
quite
how
interesting when younger people say, so somebody, some celebrity or whatever dies and say, he was 75, he was 76, and
we think of that as young now.
I look at that and think, God, that's not far off,
No, exactly.
But from a 50-year-old or a 40-year-old person, that's miles away. So
I think the 50s were the greatest years. I really enjoyed them.
That's nice.
Because it's
1950s.
I'm not that old. I found it. I think because if you think of 50 being the new 40, and by 50 you actually know you pretty much become an adult. And so you've got something to offer. And I have a personal policy of only employing people over 50 myself.
Really? Interesting.
Because of life skills.
Okay.
And they've got a maturity, but they've still got the right attitude, young at heart.
That's really interesting. I like that.
But like you, I've got friends of all ages, and you know, I think people out here particularly regard age as just a number more so than you have to behave a certain way.
Yeah.
I think we've lost that here, so I think maybe that's still true in the UK, but I don't think it's the same here.
Yeah. I think people in general, and I don't mean because they've had work done, people in general look younger here.
Yeah.
You know, when I speak to people in the UK and do a lot of interviews on Zoom in the UK, I see people and you know how old they are, and I think, wow, you know, when I think of, you know, close friends and my partner and things like that, how old they are and how young they look compared to, do you know what I mean? I do find it interesting. I think living in a warm climate and generally maybe being a bit kind of happier and content with life can really help in so many ways.
And living outdoors a lot.
Yeah.
You know, we spend a lot more time outdoors than we've ever in the UK. You know, so you'd be stuck in with the central heating on in the middle of summer.
Yeah,
Somebody
and they
told me the
are
other
now.
day.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
They've got
definitely more
central heating.
vitality living here.
Yeah.
People are more vibrant in a lot of ways, you know.
Definitely.
I think the weather. I mean, I go back to the UK quite regularly, and you know, it can be quite, especially if you go in the winter months and it's dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
and,
it's depressing.
You know, you've got the heating on and the fire going, and not for me.
So there we go. Wait till we're 70, life gets better. We've all got something to look forward to. This is an interesting one. The headline reads, "I always tell my husband when he's put on weight, and you should too." She says, "A few days ago, as my husband Cornell was dressing for work, I noticed a slight paunch where his flattered tummy used to be. I didn't look the other way or keep it to myself. Instead, I pulled his top up, patted the burgeoning mass and said, 'Get yourself down the gym.' It may sound like I'm being cruel, but I'm of the belief that it's a spouse's duty to tell their partner when they're gaining weight. Dieters claim that one of the main reasons their diets fail is not greed or hunger, but their partner telling them they're fine as they are. Your other half saying, 'But I love your curves,' is a surefire way to abandon your good intentions and dive bomb the cake tin." She said, "I've lost count of the number of times my friends have told me that I'm nasty for the way I speak to my husband about his weight, but I believe if you truly love someone, you should be honest, and I'd expect my husband to be the same with me." Ooh,
wow.
Interesting.
Well.
So how would you all feel, basically? How would you all feel if your nearest and dearest was to say to you,
Absolutely looking
fine.
a bit tight.
yeah, would you take it as, "Oh, thank you," or, "Oh,
Yeah.
am I now?"
I'd be fine with it, yeah.
You'd be fine with it?
Absolutely fine, yeah. As long as the message is delivered in a,
Kind
let's say, an
manner.
adult way, not
Yes.
crystal parent.
Yes.
But if it's delivered well, you know, yeah, why not? I mean, you know, you do see people. It's absolutely true. You do see people that you know, put on loads of weight and they all go, "Oh, you know, well, you know, you used to say that I was lovely," and then, you know, then he has an affair and goes off with someone else. You know, what good's that? No, just be honest. You should, you know, hopefully you'll have a relationship. But you see it all the time, right?
Yeah.
You know, both sides, not just, you know,
Yeah,
both sides, and they're all upset. And what's the first thing they do? They lose a load of weight. But why not? Why not want to keep yourself trim for your partners, and why not have that communication where you can, as long as it's delivered in a nice way?
And so long as it works both ways.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I've been in the situations where colleagues or female friends have said, "Do you think this looks all right?" And I've gone, "No." You know?
Just like that.
It
No.
wasn't delivered the best.
Well, it's true. But then again, the person who wrote that article, you know, would she be the kind of person to say, "Does my bum look big in this?"
The answer
And-
is always no.
Right, but the thing is, if she wants honesty, and it does, will she accept it? You know, it has to work both ways.
Oh, definitely. But she's saying she will accept it, and that's what she wants. I mean, I think it's one of those we'd all like to. I don't know. Maybe you're different, Grant. I think we'd all like to say that it should be like that, but I think, I don't know. I know you say depending on how it's delivered, but I think it would be. I don't know. I don't know, I think if we're honest, it would be hard to kind of hear if it randomly kept, because you'd probably be aware of it yourself, wouldn't you? You'd know damn well yourself if you'd been putting on a bit of weight or anything. So you should be able to kind of say yourself, that's what I do. I kind of say, I need to lose a bit of weight, I'll put on some weight. So therefore they don't need to tell you because you've told them, like you're already aware of it yourself.
Yeah.
So if you haven't said anything, it means that I would take it that you're really kind of feeling a bit self-conscious about it and you don't want to talk about it. So for your nearest and dearest to say, oh, you've put on weight, it would be like, yeah, thanks, I'm really aware of that. I think it might be kind of difficult because I'd say it myself, about myself, before I'd kind of say it about anyone else.
But other people don't, Hannah, do they? You see other people are in complete denial about putting on weight at times. And you know, where I mean it is, you know, if you want that relationship to work, communication is key. And you do see people where they go, well, you know, I thought he loved me. Yeah, well, he probably did, but you got big and fat and he didn't fancy you anymore. No, but I'm just saying, you know, we're talking about true life, right? And that's the kind of thing that happens. And there are people that will argue, you know, and there are people that argue and go, well, you know, he's overweight or she's overweight and they're perfectly happy, and that's absolutely fine. If they're happy with that, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
but if you feel that it's going to affect your relationship, then why not be open and helpful before it does start to affect your relationship?
And stand back so you don't get hurt after you've delivered it.
You might not see me next week, Hannah.
Put your gum shield in.
Moving on to children. This is an interesting one. The cost of living crisis is making it hard to teach children about the true value of money. More than half of parents and grandparents believe it's making it much harder to get youngsters to develop money management skills needed in adulthood. Despite this concern about learning the true value of money, most parents still put budgeting at the top of the list as the most important financial lesson to teach youngsters about for when they grow up. Do you remember being taught about the value of money when you were growing up?
No.
No?
No, not at all. I wish they'd actually taught it in school.
Oh, yeah.
Because I believe that money management is now something they are teaching to younger children.
Oh, are they? Oh, good.
So I believe. But yeah, I wish I had more sense when I was young. I wish I'd actually been taught about it.
Yeah, I think from going from sort of an era where you used to get a post office book.
Yeah.
You know, you used to save at the post office every week and take some of your spending money or your pocket money, you used to call it then, and save a little bit. That disappeared completely, but it is coming back.
Is it?
There are debit card companies now opening debit cards, or you can open one for your kids where you control it, but they can log in online and see their money.
Right.
And transfer grandma gives them £20 for Christmas or something.
Yeah.
They can put it in their account so that you can see, it's returning that feeling of having your own money. You know? And I think that's definitely what was lacking or what is lacking.
I remember thinking when I was a kid, with a lot of these things to do with money and mortgages and taxes and things like that, when I was a kid, just kind of thinking, you know, when I'm an adult, I'm going to understand all of these things. You know, you just kind of think that automatically, oh, that's adult stuff, and once I become an adult, I'll just know it all. And of course, you don't always just know it all. Someone has to explain all these things to you, and unless that happens with parents or teachers or whatever, you're not going to know stuff. You know, when we see a lot of these reality stars on television, and, you know, people kind of amazed how little some of them know about different things when they're on quizzes and things, it drives me nuts. I kind of think, well, is it their fault, or is it the fact that nobody told them? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the value of money's changed as well dramatically. I mean, you know, you go into any bar, shop or restaurant and people tap the phone to pay.
Yeah.
You know, if you had to get £30 out of your wallet or €30 out of your wallet, it actually feels like you're buying something, or you're spending your own money.
Yeah.
Whereas you tap your phone, it's not yours. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Until you get towards the end of the month and you realise you've got no tap left.
Yeah, exactly. You've tapped it too many times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know,
no, it does make it kind of
difficult.
easier to spend money, doesn't it? Doing it all on card. It's a shame. We should use more cash, otherwise they'll get rid of it. We've had a message here. I'm a young 63 and I'm dog and cat sitting in Torrox. I'm not getting any richer but not getting poorer, and I wouldn't be listening to you guys. What does that mean? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. I'll keep going. When I go back to the UK, I will walk straight into a job because of age in hospitality. They prefer older. Lorraine from Derbyshire in Torrox for the summer. Wow, in hospitality prefer older people. That's good. I assume she means in Derbyshire when she goes back to. Nice one. Well, that's good. That's relating to what you said, Russell, about employing older people.
Oh, it's much more reliable.
Yeah. By the way, my CV's in the post.
That's excellent.
Yeah, exactly. We've got one more ad break to take.
Hannah Murray, TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the last part of today's Men Talk. With me in the studio today, Russell Hood, Steve Holmes and Grant Joel. I had a message from Fox going back to childhood sweets and things that we remember eating. He says, remember Jubbly? It was frozen.
I remember Jubbly fondly.
Yeah? What was Jubbly then?
It was like a pyramid-shaped thing that you used to put in the freezer, and it was like orange, and you used to open it at one end and you'd suck the ice and orange too, but you'd end up with just a chunk of ice because you sucked all the orange juice out.
All the flavour.
It was beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did it come in different flavours or just orange?
Just orange, as I remember. Orange. It was just orange, yeah. Orange Jubbly.
It's funny, isn't it, how there were much fewer flavours back in the day or years ago, absolutely. And now there'd be like 20 different flavour Jubblies, wouldn't there? You get everything, all the different colours, all different flavours.
Yeah, good lad. What was he called? The guy that...
Fox.
Well done, Fox. That's brilliant.
Brought back some memories for Steve. And do you, just on that, it's got me thinking about different flavours and stuff. If you were eating sweets that have all the different colours and different flavours, what would be your go-to and what would be the ones that you'd leave?
I'd leave the black ones. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, we need to share sweets.
Yeah, I'd go for Spangles. Spangles. Yeah, so it'd be green one. I love the green ones, and nobody ever did, so it was great.
Okay, so you like the green ones and not the black ones. Grant?
Oh, yeah, I like lemon. I remember Fruitellas. Do you remember Fruitellas?
Yeah.
Flavours.
Yeah.
I used to really like. I mean, there wasn't many flavours I didn't like, but yeah, mostly the yellows. Not so much the greens. I'd share with you.
I'll share with you as well. Lemons are my least favourite.
Are they?
Yeah, lemon and orange are always the ones I'll leave. Yeah. And the red ones, the blackcurrant ones will always be the first ones. And green, I've got into green over the years.
It's because you're getting older like me, isn't it?
But no, lemon and orange, least favourite. What about you, Russell?
Well, in the days when I really liked sweets, I was just glad to have any I got, so I didn't give a damn about the actual colour. I just go into them in my mouth as fast as possible.
Would you mix flavours then?
Oh, yeah.
Controversial, really?
Yeah. One of my favourite things was Revels. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember Revels, yeah.
And so good.
And you had to try and work out what was it before you
were
ate
awful.
it.
I hated the orange
ones. You never wanted the orange.
But I loved the toffee, and I like the coconut.
Yeah.
And the peanut.
And the nut and the raisin.
The raisins were my favourites.
And then the one that was just chocolate. Yeah. Oh, that was a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great fun looking at it and trying to guess. Yeah, brilliant. I think they still do them, I'm sure.
Oh, really?
When I go back to the UK, I've seen them. Yeah, packs of Rebels. I have to get some. So moving on from a really fun, light subject to a really heavy one. Children of 5 taught about white privilege. British children as young as 5 are being taught about white privilege and US police brutality. Thousands of schools are using material that tells teachers that white youngsters are strongly biased in favour of their race and that they're never too young to start talking about it. One of the documents is called How to Talk to Pupils About Racism. They say that children recognise race from a young age and they're never too young to start talking about it. Interesting. I'm trying to remember whether we kind of were taught about race and racism and things at school. I'm not sure if it came up.
So is that, just to make it clear, that article then is encouraging children to talk about race and racism?
Basically.
So it's
and they're using kind of the George Floyd angle and talking about that and white privilege kind of as a way to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's a good thing, isn't it? Awareness is a good thing, isn't it? If it's done with good intent.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, young children don't see race.
Not at all, no.
And if you start indoctrinating children from a young age, then maybe you're putting things in there that don't need to be there.
Yeah.
You know, going off my grandchildren, they don't see race.
No, not at all. No.
You know,
I think it needs to be done, but not too young. They're talking about here from the age of 5, I think, which I think is utterly ridiculous. But if you get
biases in any race, usually you've picked that up by the time you're very young from peers, adults, parents, teachers. All those unconscious biases are usually picked up by the age of 5 years old.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good thing if it's drip fed. I suspect because that article probably comes from a certain newspaper that I absolutely despise, that the overall tone of it will be critical of the idea. But if it's done properly, you know, as Grant says, you know, kids can handle a lot of information. I mean, I recall when I was at primary school, and you might remember the case of Mary Bell, the child killer, and we discussed it. We were probably 7 or 8 years old at that point.
Wow!
And we were discussing this with the teacher, and kids can absorb this kind of information. So, you know, I think it's never too early, but that feels like there's a criticism in there.
That's why I wanted to make the article clear. It did feel like that, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's not what they're taught, it's who does the teaching.
Exactly, exactly.
The way it comes over, I guess, is and that, you know, you're in a minefield there.
Yeah.
I had a really, really interesting experience at school, seeing the complete difference from growing up in London compared to Dorset. So my first year of high school was in London, and I was in the minority. I was one of 4 white girls in a class of 36. And that was normal to me growing up in London. And then I moved to Dorset, and every single person in the whole school was white. And it was completely different. And I remember thinking, this is so weird. Everybody looks the same, because I'd been used to everybody looking different, and that was totally fine and normal. And I thought, gosh, people growing up in Dorset and other parts of the UK and the world will be growing up in places where everybody looks the same. And I thought that was really odd, because it felt far more normal to me that everybody looks different. And that can have a huge impact, I think, on people growing up. I love, you know, all the international schools there are out here. Not only does everybody look different, they all sound different. You know, they're from all different countries, and I think that's brilliant for kids to be exposed to people being different from a really young age.
Yeah, I was thinking, because when I was at primary school, we had one black person in the whole school, but he was actually one of our really good friends. So again, we didn't, you know, I didn't associate anything to that, and you know, my parents welcomed him, you know, with open arms to the family, and then he was a real character. Actually, he was a great guy.
That must have been tough for him. That must have been really
I think
weird.
It was very tough for him, because there were certain other, you know, children that were you know, bullies basically. And I remember, you know, knowing how tough it was, and you know, and you know, there'd be fights and things like that. But I don't think I ever saw it to the level where. But I do think awareness is a very good thing. I think awareness is a very good thing.
I do.
People need to question things,
and for children to understand that everybody's different, and different is brilliant and a really, really good thing. Because too many kind of kids, young adults, even adults, they all want to look the same. You know, all the attractive women, groups of girls are going out, and they all look exactly the same. They've all got their hair done the same dress, the lips, the boobs, whatever. They all look the same, and people are kind of losing their individuality, and that's really sad.
It's like the people who like to have a tattoo to show their individuality. Well, everybody's got them.
Yeah, exactly. We're at the end of the programme now. Thank you guys very much for coming on today. Thank you, Russell, Steve and Grant. Enjoy your weekend. Howard Brereton coming up after the news. I'll be back on Monday.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.